You know something? If there is one thing on earth you can always be sure of, it is the duplicity of the liberal wokes, the Islamists, and the Western media. Just as sure as the sun rises in the east and sets in the west, so too do these people, who are all basically the same incestuous bunch, never fail to be just a bit too clever for their own good. Their life is basically a bipolar charade, where physically you're sipping on cocktails and nibbling on an imported cheese platter like your idols in the US do, but mentally and spiritually you're at the cockroach protest in Jantar Mantar, rubbing shoulders with goons and criminals and murder and rape accused, voicing your support and throwing stones for their education. Despite this hive mind's singular focus on justifying riots and violence in India just this last week, the big story that they're trying to hide has somehow made its way to the rest of the world. The one that totally nails their hypocrisy, which, like all of their other dirty little secrets, they'd like to keep swept under the rug. But not today and not here on Visanalysis with me, Ankit Prasad. I think there has never been an admission of editorial disinterest as loud as the failure of all media to confirm exactly how many people Pakistan has killed as part of its sham elections in POK. What's even more bizarre is the reasoning that's being offered. Nobody, none of the Pakistani media nor the Western media, whose usual suspects are all allowed to go wherever they want to in Pakistan, none of these people have anything except the most half-hearted, amnesia-riddled, and factually anemic stories to offer. They all basically read like, alleged people have allegedly been killed in what is allegedly Azad Kashmir but is really Pakistan occupied Kashmir, allegedly by the Pakistani military. The alleged number of alleged people killed could be anything, from 0 to minus 12 and everything in between. If you are reading it as an even moderately conscious person, meaning that if you are not a zombie, then you will smell a rat. And like we said, the reason they say that they don't know anything is quite bizarre. As per The Dawn, whose writing has improved a lot since AI came around, they've not been able to find out what exactly the death toll is because there is an internet shutdown in place. And this internet shutdown has been ongoing for 54 days apparently, before those whose job it is to complain about these things, like the so-called Pakistani Human Rights Commission and the lizards over at Amnesty International, finally decided to mount a feeble protest. In return, the oversmart Pakistani government decided to lift the internet shutdown in the measliest way possible. Whereas the rest of the world has 5G, these guys have activated 2G GPRS data. I'm not even sure WhatsApp works with it. It's compliance in the strictest sense. But irrespective of whether or not there is data, how can you not know that this issue is not just bubbling or simmering but is actively exploding? I mean, there are supposed to be elections going on, and they're done in the cover of night by cloak and dagger with internet shutdown? What about international observers? What about on-ground reporting? Are you really telling me that internet is shut down but you cannot place a good old-fashioned phone call? Are people not moving in and out of there? It's been almost 2 months now. And if you're unable to get information out, how is it that Aditya Raj Kaul sitting in India has videos of the people in POK who are bearing the brunt and videos of the non-stop firing by the Pakistani military? According to those in the videos, as many as 90 people have been killed. And look, this kind of thing happens in Pakistan all the time. You will have disturbances in different parts of the country because of Hillary Clinton's prophecy that you cannot keep snakes in your own backyard and expect that they'll only bite your neighbors. For example, in Khyber Pakhtunkhwa, there has been an attack on a Pakistani police checkpost where 9 cops have been killed and 28 injured, as per official figures. In the case of the killings by the Pakistani military in POK, there are a couple of things to know. The first is that something bad has definitely gone down, because the Pakistani administration has also been forced to issue excuses. The Pak Information Minister says that there has been violence there, alleging the involvement of militants pursuing a foreign agenda and backed by Indian money, which is Pakistan's new strategy, to blame all of its problems on India but have no proof and no explanation as to why. But we know that it's not unknown gunmen this time. The people the Pakistani military is killing have a name, and they're called the Joint Awami Action Committee, or JAAC. Their issue is that there are 12 seats in the sham POK legislature that are reserved for so-called refugees from India. It's similar to how the real Jammu and Kashmir Assembly has 24 seats reserved for POK, which remain vacant till POK returns to India. In Pakistan-occupied Kashmir's case, these 12 seats aren't vacant, but are voted on apparently by so-called refugees. Except that the people of Kashmir have nothing to do with these seats. Instead, they are rigged by the Pakistani authorities, the ISI, and its deep state. These are Rawalpindi and Islamabad's 12 seats in POK. And these seats are very important to deciding who wins. Which is why the JAAC, that body that we mentioned, wants these 12 seats abolished and has been protesting for it while the rigged elections have been ongoing. A few weeks ago, the JAAC announced a strike to reinforce its demand, and in exchange, the fraud POK government declared it a terror organization. Now, what happens when an organization is declared a terror organization in its own country? The answer is their members are treated like terrorists and hunted down, which is unlike how Pakistan generally treats terrorists declared so by India, which is by giving them national hero status. And so the JAAC's people have been arrested and a vicious crackdown has been launched in which plenty of people have been killed and maimed. With the violence now picking up and questions being asked, some of the lowlifes who like to pointedly ignore all of this are having to finally acknowledge it. Al Jazeera, for example, which has been a die-hard supporter of the cockroach riot in Delhi, because, it cares so much for democracy, coming as it does from the Democratic Republic of Qatar. Oh no, wait, I'm sorry. I mean the state of Qatar, which is ruled by its emir and has Islam as its state religion. Yes, that Al Jazeera has now finally had to acknowledge that something is up. In the video that they've posted, they say that peaceful protests have been fired upon and that 40 people have been killed since June. There are intense visuals of protests and rioting and violence. One of the protesters even says that the Pakistani authorities are worse than Zionists, which made me chuckle a bit. Because all of the liberal folk around the world are busy getting really hot and sweary, calling all kinds of people Zionists. And here, Pakistani mullahs and jihadis are treating what they claim to be their own people worse than what Israel is doing to the Hamas terrorists in Gaza. Still, Al Jazeera is also at the end of the day a terror mouthpiece, so it does its best to obscure the 40 death toll in one small line in a long video. It's not in the caption or the lead, but at least it has been acknowledged. The other champions of the combined cockroach and anti-Zionist cause, however, are turning a total blind eye. Rana Ayyub, who is basically a US deep state tool who uses jihadi hate to defame India, is busy writing op-eds in the Washington Post about the cockroach riots and has been attending the Thakres rallies in Dadar, which tells you all you need to know about both Rana Ayyub and the Thakres today. She is, however, despite being the fierce guardian of Muslims everywhere, totally blind to the butchery of the Muslims by the Pakistani government in POK. It's almost as pointedly hypocritical as the time that she deposited funds collected during the COVID pandemic into the PM Cares Fund when she thought that she could be in trouble. Another Gaza lover, and I'm not talking about Greta Thunberg, India's very own Priyanka Vadra apparently doesn't have a POK bandana to go along with her Palestine tote bag. I mean, not that I'm one to give anyone sartorial advice, but what I lack in fashion sense, I do try to make up in my enthusiasm to call out shallow, hypocritical, deceitful, conceited, arrogant, and attention-seeking disingenuous behavior by the likes of Priyanka and Rana and Greta and Fatima and Malala, all of whom are totally silent on Pakistan's ugly actions, even on citizens it claims to be its own. Another frequent Gazan, which equally has no legs left to stand on, is the United Nations, which really should come around to changing its name to the Divided and Dysfunctional Nations. The global organization, which has failed in its primary duty of stopping wars from happening ever again, largely because it seems to think that countries don't wage war via proxies like terror agencies, is once again nowhere to be found. I'll be honest, I think FIFA is a more effective body than the UN right now. And who knows, from the reports I've been reading, the FIFA president is coming to take over the UN quite soon. The United Nations has never failed to bleat on and even at times spread misinformation over Gaza. I'm not saying it shouldn't, but it does almost nothing else. It is a toothless and broken body led by a person who is a useless prop whom nobody respects. He is only good at turning up unannounced at places where nobody wants or needs him. The current UN Secretary General has presided over war after war breaking out under his nose, while the organization has remained stuck in the 1950s, deadlocked into a state of paralysis, incapable of reform, and able only to create noise based on the political whims of its captured offices. In fact, that is the problem with all of these organizations, bodies, and empty skulls that we spoke about. From the woke media like Al Jazeera and the BBC and the New York Times, to hypocrites like Malala, Fatima, Greta, Priyanka and Rana and their ilk, and the captured and pointless institutions like the UN. All of them have been captured heart and soul by a warped left liberal hive mind and an excess love for Muslims. They cannot call out terrorism. They don't speak about terrorism at all because we know who espouses jihad after all. But when terrorists are killed and other Muslims are killed because terrorists use them as meat shields, then their hearts break and they squeal like they're being tortured, showing their solidarity with social media posts and with their repulsive fashion choices. The truth is, the message they're really sending is, from Pakistan's mass murder and indiscriminate bombings in Afghanistan to this blanking out of the mass civilian casualties in POK, The message and takeaway basically is that they think it's absolutely not okay to kill Muslims except if the perpetrators are also Muslims, in which case then it's totally fine. Basically, ये उनका अपना मामला है. It falls outside the petty constructs of peace and humanity and liberty. It's none of your business basically. It's only their business. They will all get 72 hoors at the end, and that's justice for all concerned. But we know better. We know what they are. We know they have blood on their hands. What do you think though? Could they sink any lower? Let us know what you think, and don't forget to subscribe to Visanalysis, including on Instagram and X, where we're just trying to figure out what to do next. That's all from me, Ankit Prasad, for the moment though. I'll see you again very soon.